Yeah, it was a great game of cricket. I think every player from both teams should feel privileged to have been a part of that. Oh no, I didn't let the boys think that far ahead. When we came off that rain break, I made sure everyone remained really calm, and that was our big focus. Even we got 2 quick wickets after the rain break, and probably edged our noses in front of the game. But I know the game well enough to know that if you just get a little bit too pumped up and a little bit carried away, before you know it, the game can slip away. And so I made sure the boys stayed under control, and I thought we did it pretty well. You got to give some credit to McGoffin and Hartley with the way they controlled that situation. Probably McGoffin in particular. He was the one that sort of hit the boundaries that they needed. So look, I was a little bit disappointed with some of our cricket through the middle part of this game, but I can't be disappointed with what the boys have dished up today. That was we've got to be proud of what the efforts that they put in, and unfortunately we just weren't quite good enough. I think when a game gets that tight, it always does. Yeah, things liven up pretty quickly, and you can just see with the boys are all on edge and trying their absolute best. And I think with the conditions this week, with the wicket the way it was and the overheat conditions, it just kept everybody in the contest. And as a batter, you couldn't afford just to relax for one ball, and the bowlers felt that they were in the game all the time. So that's what made the game probably as on edge as it was. Look, you can look back at over this game in particular and find probably a number of areas that either Queensland did particularly well, or we weren't quite as good as what we needed to be. Hartley's first innings was a very good innings, coming in at the situation that they were in. But even before that, Hopesy first innings, it was 50 odd balls, and we just didn't hit our areas to him that we needed to, and we let him score quickly. And when you let batsmen score relatively quickly and easily on a wicket like that, it's almost like you're playing on a different track. But if you can maintain your lines and lengths and build up pressure, then there's always something happening. And I think the start of Hope's innings and Hartley's 100 were key moments in the game. But when you look back and you look at the start of our second innings batting, and even the fact that Alex Doolan probably couldn't bat anywhere near the way we needed him to bat in the second innings, could have had a big impact on the game as well. But you got to give Queensland credit for doing what they did. When a moment was there or an opportunity was there to seize, they did it. I'm not sure if this one slipped from our grasp. I think we've battled pretty manfully up here, playing Queensland in their home conditions, and I don't think at any stage we were the odds-on favourites to win the game. But it was just a great game of cricket that could have gone either way down to the end. Are we disappointed? Of course we're disappointed. We wanted to do everything we could to force an outright result up here and win the Sheffield Shield. We weren't good enough to do that, and we were disappointed not to be quite good enough to win the Ryobi Cup. But I think the last few weeks in particular, you have to have a good hard look at Tasmanian cricket and the depth of our squad, because we've had a number of guys who are on national duty. We've got a number of our first 11 guys out injured at the moment, and the guys that we've brought in have stood up and given us a chance to win both the Ryobi Cup and the Sheffield Shield. So I know personally, being around the last few weeks, and the coaching staff are pretty happy with what they've been able to do as far as that's concerned. Yeah, they're both experienced players as well, and experience generally shines through in games like this, and situations that they were presented with in the first innings and the second innings, they dealt with really well. So, as I said, Hartley thoroughly deserved his Man of the Match award. McGoffin's effort through the game, with a bad back early in the game, and to keep bowling like the way he did, and then to stand up and score some pretty handy runs in both innings, you've got to give him some credit as well. Yeah, look, I haven't seen a lot. You've got to be very impressed with what I saw this week. He's always been highly regarded as a wicket keeper and a more than capable batsman. Strangely enough, a situation like that the other day probably suits his style of play down to the ground. A real nuggety innings and a disciplined innings is what he played. And we put him down once early, but he really didn't offer many chances after that. And for someone to bat for that amount of balls in the game and not offer up too many chances is pretty good effort. What can we say? We gave ourselves the best chance we possibly could in both finals, and we've just come up a tie in the one in Adelaide, and not far away here. So yes, disappointing, but I think if you asked everybody involved in Tasmanian cricket, they'd be pretty proud of what the team's achieved this year.